It kind of reminds me in some ways. We had Andy Timmons on the show the last couple weeks, and he re-recorded an album that Lennon and McCartney had produced for a different band originally, and he was able to do it in Abbey Road, and they still had some of the old equipment that the Beatles had actually used, some of the old microphones. So he was able to achieve some of that same sound because they simply had some of the same stuff. And then when you're talking to me about the poster on the wall, it makes me think about now, because now with streaming and now with so many different things, people don't set out to produce an album that has any kind of theme anymore. You know what I mean? Because every song has its own soundbite now. You know what I mean? Whereas I miss the days when you could listen to an album from beginning to end and there was some interconnection, and that is, I mean, yeah, that's a prog rock thing, but also there were other bands that didn't do prog rock. There were folk bands that did that. There were a lot of bands that the album would have, a feeling, a theme throughout. And I don't feel like we get that much anymore.
I mean, the recording industry turned to be a track business,
Yeah.
So this is only about one track. We are working against all odds, We are young enough and old enough. We are independent enough, that's our age, but we are young enough because we have this fire to do it. We have the courage to ask the questions. And I'm so privileged because some of our great founding members, like Jack Bruce, as he was, fading away, and he passed away, and I was sitting just with Eric Clapton and the family of Jack in London after the funeral, and my phone was buzzing in my pocket, and Quincy Jones was calling me, and he said, "Okay, you need now a new bass player." I see you in 4 days in New York, and I'm going to introduce you to the fabulous Richard Bona. Or as John Lord of Deep Purple was passing, then Corey Henry came into the band. He was 27, and then we celebrated his 30th birthday on the Paris Olympia while we were playing there. So, and in many ways, we had this, that sort of the change of generations were taking place in the band, and Ian sounds younger than ever on flute, and it's always very interesting to find for Randy Bracker or fabulous John Halliwell of Supertramp, on all these folks, at the right places, and also to find new ways to do it. But this probably the most political record that we ever done as well, because we feel this moment, this trying times what we are going through, and we would like to be the ones who are at the end of the tunnel with a torch. And the last album, Utopia For Realists, is the last song called The Torch. And it is about passing on the torch to the next generation. And during the anniversary tour, I started to say at the end of the show, where we all, had our bows, and the encore was, just around the corner. And then I said, no, we are not going to pass on the torch, because we fix the world before we do that. And so the old rebels are back, and for our own reception, or our own interpretation, our own understanding, we are sounding younger than ever, because we got back to the old way and put up the wonderful old microphones and the machines, and we sat down in a circle and just did what we learned to do. And because of this, and I'm not someone who is against the digital world. Of course, this is the way it is. But ask any lady, or your daughter, or your wife, or anyone around you, your secretary, how would you like to get a love letter? as a text message or rather a handwritten love letter. And all the ladies, all the girls will tell you, of course, a handwritten love letter. And this is our album. And as you very correctly, very precisely, you described that today it's very rare that you have an album as a piece of art. The 80 minutes is the piece of art. And I'm very thankful and that you're not asking, and no one was asking, no American journalist was asking me, what is your favorite track? Because everybody who were listening to the album realized that this the favorite new piece of 80 minutes. But share with you something very prog rock, maybe two top secrets of the prog rock. Joking. You know, the previous album was Bela Bartok's Hungarian Pictures, Utopia For Realists. It's happened just before, because as we were touring with the lineup, Peter Frampton was on guitar, Jack Bruce on bass, Ian Anderson was playing the flute, Greg Lake was playing guitar, John Lord was on the Hammond, Manfred Mann on synthesizer, Bobby Kimball and Chris Thompson were singing. I played the drums, and one of the nights, Greg Lake and John Lord said, "Can we sit around the corner, of the table? And Leslie, we would like to share with you something." Amazon Lake Palmer was not planning to do pictures of an exhibition. We wanted to do Hungarian Pictures by Bela Bartok. That's how we did Allegra Barbaro. But we never got the rights cleared, so we couldn't do that. So we just had huge, incredible legal stress because of Allegra Barbaro. So you are Hungarian origin. Can you get them right? And then with Soulmates, we are going to record it. And I'm a bit self-confident guy, so I said, of course. I called the grandkids of Bela Bartok, and I've tracked them down, and then we're gonna make it. So I never got an answer from them, but we got together in London, Jack Bruce, John Lord, and Greg Lake, and we started to work on it. And finally, I got tracked them down, the grandkids, and they said, "No way. No, we will never give you any promises." So, guys, Bela Bartok was the first rock and roll. So we couldn't clear the guy. So we wrote a bunch of sheets, and we were just working on a piano, and we had to forget it for a moment. Jack's left us, John Lord left us, Greg left us, and they all play now with Jimi Hendrix. But I promised that I'm going to do that. So we did it 5 years ago or 4 years ago. We released 4 years ago, this album, and even Chick Corea was dropping by on his last tour before, and because he was a huge Bela Bartok freak, just to listen to. And was his last time he was in Munich, and another little story I would like to share with you is the last song, or last piece of music, actually, of this very album, A Memory of Our Future. Because we had about 70-something minutes of music done, and I think Richard Bona someone was coming up and said, "Leslie, honestly, a double album and the CD length. So do you have one more?" I said, "No, but not really. But I have a theme, a melody. So that's what I can offer you." And then they fell in love with that. So we had no plan. We had not any rehearsal, any sheets, anything. We just I played that theme, and all of a sudden we played that. What you hear on the record as a melting pot, we called it, is in the very last piece, is just played live in the studio like you hear it.
Just jamming.
It's just a jam. Because my first band as a teenager, as I called by the police, back then behind the Iron Curtain, in the communist times, called Jam. So as a reminiscence to that, we were jam. The last piece is a jam. But have a listen to that. I mean, there's
That's just so cool.